I can go times 10 with my
Yeah.
emotions. And so,
Mm-hmm.
like, when I get mad, I get really mad.
Right,
When I
right,
get
right,
happy, I'm really happy. And
right.
like people don't understand that can be draining, that can be,
Yes,
stressful. So
exhausting.
it's like you
Hmm.
have to find the balance. And that's why I tell people, you need an outlet.
Hey there, Vibers. Welcome to the Vibe with Kai podcast, where we keep it real, we keep it relatable, and we keep it a little bit funny as we dive into all things mental health, ADHD, and introversion. My name is Kai. I'm your host, and each week we're going to tackle life struggles with honesty, humor, and a whole lot of heart. So whether you're here for practical advice or a little validation or just a laugh about what life is like as an adult in today's world, listen, you are in the right place. We are not about toxic positivity here. We are all about being genuine to each other and to ourselves. And we're talking about real things. And we want to encourage each other and remind you that you are not alone. With that said, my friends, sit back, relax, and let's vibe through this together and enjoy today's episode of the Vibe with Kai podcast.
Hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of the Vibe with Kai podcast. It's your boy Kai. In today's episode, we're diving deep into a topic that so many of us can relate to, managing ADHD, especially when you didn't get diagnosed until later in life. I'm one of those people. I got diagnosed when I was 35, 36 years old. So this is a conversation that I'm excited to have. Joining me today is the incredible Traci Neal, a Christian spoken word artist who's using her voice to inspire others and bring awareness to nonprofits worldwide. She's not just a poet, she's a powerhouse. She's mentoring youth in South Carolina to hosting spoken word showcases. Traci is seriously lighting up the stages and lighting up people's hearts everywhere that she goes. Diagnosed with autism and ADHD as an adult, Traci's journey is proof that it's never, ever, ever too late to understand yourself and find your voice. With that said, I want to welcome my guest, Traci Neal. How are you?
Great. Thank you so much for having
Yeah,
me.
absolutely. I'm really excited to have this conversation and to introduce you to my audience. And I always love having these conversations because it truly does help people understand that they're not alone in their journey. Because I know a lot of times we definitely feel alone, when this comes along. So I want everybody to get to know you a little bit. Can you share a little bit about your journey and how faith has influenced your work?
Yes. So basically, my journey, I like to tell people I started from humble beginnings. I
Mhm.
was a pre-K aide 5 years ago now. And I got started with poetry at a young age. My mom actually took me to my first open mic
Yeah,
at 14. And it was very interesting. I was the youngest in this
yeah,
room with these college students and adults. And I had like my book of poems, my folder of poems.
yeah.
And my mom was like, you should go up there and read a poem. And so I went up there, but I didn't read. I actually performed. And so she
Mhm.
kind of like planted that seed that, you should be doing this. But it wouldn't be until I realized later on in life that, I have to follow my dreams because at first I was going to be a teacher. That was my
Right.
goal, that I was to
Yeah,
be a teacher.
yeah,
I
yeah.
tell people whatever is meant for you is going to be for you.
Yeah.
My dad was actually a retired teacher, same high school for 40 years.
Amazing.
That
Shout
was
out to
meant for
all the
him.
teachers. Shout out to all
Yes.
the teachers out there.
It was meant for him.
Yeah, yeah.
But I believe poetry was meant for me. And
Mhm.
so even though I was, trying very hard to be certified, it never happened. But poetry was always in my heart. And my faith is tied into that because I used poetry as an outlet, because I
Mhm.
dealt with low self-esteem,
Right.
growing up. And mind you, I'm a
Mhm.
late diagnosis of
Yeah.
autism and ADHD. So um, I needed something, to inspire me to keep going because I
Right,
was dealing
right.
with a lot of emotional issues and things.
Mhm.
And
Right.
so I relied heavily on my faith and the poetry. And so it just tied in together. And
Yeah. It seems to like work perfectly, right? It just seems to like fit sometimes, which is a really good thing. And so like, I mean, as a creative person, do you find that it works the other way as well? Do you find that your autism and ADHD influence your poetry and your creative process overall?
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to talk about focus on my ADHD, but
Yeah, yeah,
honestly,
yeah, yeah.
people are very fascinated with my autism
Sure,
because
sure.
I actually am what people would consider level 2.
Mm-hmm.
I have a
Yeah.
very simple mind like a child, but I tie in my faith because I
Yeah.
basically rely on God for everything.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I need him to function.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
so it's like I tell people God gives me the words, I just share the message. And I
Mm-hmm.
have to say that because, people will read the poems and they're like, this is really
Mm-hmm.
deep. But I'm not deep. I'm deep. So don't ask me
I
what
feel
it
like you're
was
deeper than
like.
than you realize. You might be deeper than you realize, you know? I think it just shows that people relate to what you're saying, They're like, "Oh, I never thought of it that way." Like that's a really good thing. That's a good thing.
Okay. I'm glad we're having this discussion because I'm gonna tell y'all how simple I am.
Okay.
My husband and my
Uh-huh.
sister have told me what this word means, but in my head, this is what I interpret: homely. I
Homely.
always
Hmm.
think of homeless, like
Oh
that.
no.
That's my.
That's that's fair. That's fair. Cause like I'm homely right now. I am, you know? I get it though. I understand. I understand.
and
So
and and that's why with me and kids,
yeah.
oh, they would be like, I work with kids a lot, y'all.
Yeah.
More than the poetry. So they would
Yeah.
be like, you act like the average adult, and I didn't know it.
Yeah.
Now I know
Yeah.
why.
Now you know what. So walk me through like a typical day for you, like when it comes to balancing, being a poet, being an advocate, managing your ADHD. Walk me through a typical day for you.
A typical day for me is balance
Yeah.
because I tell people, you can't overdo it. You can
Hmm.
only do so much.
Yes.
And oftentimes people try to extend themselves
Yeah.
and they get burnt out. Like
Hmm.
that's a term you hear a lot now, but I'm burnt out. I'm stressed and stuff. Well, for me, I have learned the power of no.
Yes. I'm a big advocate for no. I'm a big advocate. Yes.
So I don't say yes to everything. I
Yeah.
don't try to overwork myself. I do what I can, and what I can't, I just have to say no to.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
I have that balance. Like I'll do the work that I need to do that's not going to cause me stress, and then I'll take a break. I am big on
Hmm.
breaks, and I am big
Hmm.
on taking a nap.
Oh, don't
Sometimes
be
you got to
ashamed of
take a
that.
nap.
Listen, I used to hate naps, and now whenever I get a chance to nap, oh man, I'm the happiest man on this planet. Happiest man on this planet. I love it. I love it. One of the things that you mentioned feeling like a little different, like growing up, and do you like looking back at, like after your late diagnosis of ADHD, looking back when you were younger, do you like see the signs now? Like, were the signs always there as you look back? How do you feel when you look back at your life?
The signs were there definitely for my autism because
Hmm.
I knew I thought differently.
Sure.
ADHD though, I tell people I actually got diagnosed by a psychologist, but it was originally for autism. But she
Okay.
tested me for ADHD, and so when
Yeah.
she told me I had ADHD, I was like, oh, like it was a shock for me because I just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
thought I had energy, thought I had a
Right.
lot of energy. That's all.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. Did you have like a range of like emotions that like after you got that ADHD diagnosis? I know you had mentioned shock. Did you go like through like a whole roller coaster of emotions? Were you ever sad or mad or excited or scared? Like what was the range of emotions you felt?
Um, it was a sense of relief, but
Hmm.
it was also like, okay, I need to accept myself. Like I need to unmask because,
Right.
I tell people like, especially in the Black community,
Yes.
kudos to you, Kai, because talk about ADHD, talk about autism for us.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
It's not
I grew up in the
cool.
'90s, y'all, and
I'm with
like
you.
you
I'm
can
with
talk
you.
about stuff
Yeah.
like this.
Yes. Yeah. I tell people all the time. Growing up, I looked up to three types of people. I looked up to athletes, hip hop and R&B artists, and my dad. Right. None of whom were talking about mental health. Like none of them were talking about mental health. It just wasn't a conversation that we had. And even to this day, while it has gotten better, there's like I'm a content creator, but like there's not many Black content creators, especially male, that are talking about their mental health. It's just not a thing. So I take this as a responsibility, and I take it very seriously, because I'm like, man, I hope I can open up eyes, and hopefully help people understand what we go through with our ADHD, because it's not easy.
And definitely for me, like I tell people, I can go times 10 with my
Yeah.
emotions. And so,
Mm-hmm.
like, when I get mad, I get really mad.
Right.
When I
Right.
get
Right.
happy, I'm really happy. And
Right.
like, people don't understand that can be draining, that can be,
Yes.
stressful. So
Exhausting.
it's like you
Mm-hmm.
have to find the balance. And that's why I tell people, you need an outlet. And so for me, especially like as a Black woman, I
Mm-hmm.
tell people seek help.
Mm-hmm.
If that means, you get going to therapy,
Mm-hmm.
whatever have you, if you feel like, okay, I think differently, I act differently, what is this? Seek help.
Mm-hmm.
We got to stop this, feeling like, okay,
Yes.
strong Black woman, I can handle it. No, you can't.
Break that stigma. Got to
And
break that stigma. Mm-hmm.
and I want to like add on to that because sometimes with having mental conditions, you get abused. So I dealt with trauma when
Yeah.
I was in my teenage years and at 20. So I'm gonna focus
Mm-hmm.
on 20.
Yeah.
At 20 I was sexually abused on my college campus that I was
I'm so
attending.
sorry.
But so my body went into shock, y'all.
Yeah.
Like I said, with the
Mm-hmm.
ADHD, it's like what's going on? Like, why am I feeling
Yeah.
like this, type thing. And I remember guys I dated, I told that this happened to me. But this one guy that I dated, he ended up dying from a brain injury.
Oh wow.
But I'm grateful for him though, but because when I told him that this happened to me, he told me, you need to get help. You need to seek help. And I am so grateful for that. So I ended up, while we were dating, doing a sexual trauma program.
Oh wow.
And after he had died, I told the counselor, I said, I'm going to continue for him because he had enough courage to, you know, tell me something that really benefited me. And I learned a lot from it. And that's why I tell people, I'll advocate whatever you need to seek that help. Don't
Mm-hmm.
feel like you have to go in Lone Ranger because even with me being able to talk about my traumas and not,
Sure. Yeah.
some people are
Yeah.
like, how can you say you have these traumas and you're
Right.
calm? But like that, they really help, you know, me center my emotions and learn different strategies, coping mechanisms, my triggers, like all of that. Like
Yeah.
you need that perspective.
Right. Right. I'm pretty sure that because my audience is mostly women. It's people that identify as women. It's about like literally like 85 to 15%. Um, and I know a lot of them are listening to you right now. Thank you for sharing that story, because I know that a lot of them are listening to you right now that are nodding their heads and just like I've been through that. I know that feeling, for the ones that are listening right now that want to get to the point where you are now, where you're able to speak comfortably, where you're able to process these traumas in the way that you do. If they're looking to get there, what would you say to them that are listening right now? What words would you say?
You have to be willing to take the first step. And just like we go on Google and search for things and look for
Yes.
things that are no benefit to us, you need to do that same thing for something that's going to impact your life for the better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Especially, I want you, if you can, to talk about Black women in this case, because again, there's not many advocates out there that are Black, let alone Black women. I think I saw a statistic even when it comes to mental health professionals. I saw a statistic that said on psychology.com, out of all of the uh, registered therapists on psychology.com, I think it said like maybe like 70 to 80% are white, right? Um, very small percentage are non-white, let alone Black, especially Black women in the mental health professional world. How does that make you feel that there's not a lot of advocates out there and there's not a lot of mental health professionals out there? How does that make you feel, and what do you think we could do about it?
It's disheartening. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
always going to be, sad, but at the same time, I think it takes people being willing to, have these conversations,
Yeah.
that vulnerability, um, in order to break the stigma. Because
Mm-hmm.
if no one sees somebody willing to put themselves out there, nobody wants to be first. You hear
Mm-hmm.
that?
It's
Nobody wants to
hard.
be
It's
first.
tough. It's tough.
Like, you out there, Lone
Yeah.
Ranger, like, what's gonna
Yeah.
happen?
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
somebody willing to put themselves out there, I think that kind
Mm-hmm.
of breaks the ice, just like what we're
Yeah.
doing right now. It's
Right.
gonna break the ice. and
Mm-hmm.
and I'm seeing some changes because, like I said, just being willing to, share my story and be vulnerable and,
Yeah.
not care. Because I mean,
Right.
people are gonna talk regardless.
They're
Give them
gonna
something
talk
to talk
regardless.
about.
Yes.
Give them something
And
to talk.
absolutely, and that's why I applaud your strength, because it takes a lot of courage to do what you do. And Lord knows how many people you've helped just by, getting up on stage or sharing your story. Who knows how many people you just helped just now, talking about this. It's really important. You had mentioned earlier about, you know, finding like coping strategies and ways to process all of these things. Are there any strategies or tools that you found most helpful in managing your ADHD?
Yes, as I said, you got to find that positive outlet.
Mm-hmm.
For some people, it could be journaling. I
Mm-hmm.
journal, but I also, I like to tell people I go to my happy place.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, my happy place is going to, I can't lie, Barnes and Noble. They have this
Hey,
kids section with a bunch of
yeah.
toys and stuffed animals, and I'm in my
Listen,
own happy world. I told
listen.
y'all, I gave
Find
y'all
that
one
happy place.
warning.
Listen, find that happy place. There's no shame. There's no shame in that.
I be sitting there with these kids, y'all, and when playing with the Legos.
Are
And
they
I
looking
remember
at you like, what
this
is
one
this
little
woman
boy was like, "You
doing?
just."
You're like, I sure am. You want to play too? Come on over. That's hilarious. It's but like, I think sometimes we overlook the simplicity of life, and we overlook those joyous moments. We overlook those fun things because there's so much happening around us. There's so much going on. There's so many big picture type of things happen that we sometimes never even get to enjoy the little small things, the small moments that bring us joy, that bring us to that happy place. So I think it's important that you find that, and I'm glad that you did. And I hope whoever's listening right now, like, listen, find your happy place. It could be at Barnes and Noble, it could be at the movies, it could be at home with your cats. Like, it could be whatever it is, as long as you identify what that place is for you. It doesn't even have to be like a physical place. It could even be a mental place that you find yourself in. That could be really, really helpful. One of the things that I read about you that I thought was really interesting, you've spoken about learning through repetition and consistency, which I think is great. How do those approaches help you manage your ADHD?
When it's consistent, it helps me be disciplined.
Mm, mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah,
glad, I'm very grateful for how I grew up because
yeah,
my dad being a teacher, he was very
yeah.
repetitious, and not even knowing that he was like really helping me because that's how I
Sure.
learned.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, like, once I hit middle school and high school, I had to incorporate my own repetition because they weren't repeating stuff. And I'm like, you said that last week, but I done forgot about it.
And and I'm glad you said it, because I don't think people realize how much extra we have to work to understand things sometimes. Like, because you can't see it sometimes. Like when we're younger, sometimes it's a little bit more clear physically, but like sometimes like the those things that you mentioned, you can't see it happening, but it's definitely happening for us up here, and we have to work 2, 3, 4 times as hard to understand the most simple of things sometimes. And that's exhausting.
Yes, it
It's
is.
exhausting. Like how at the end of the day, how exhausted do you feel if you feel like you're not having like a good day from an ADHD perspective?
I just once my head hit the pillow, that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel
Yes.
you. I feel you. I feel you. I think that I love that you're a creative person because I feel like some of the most creative people that I know in my life have ADHD. I think like I feel like that's the key. I feel like that's like a nice little entryway to creativity. You know, like I think that's really like because Lord knows I use it to my advantage. And like things, I don't know. I find myself more creative. Are you one of those people that's more creative like during the day or at night?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're like I'm
It,
creative all day.
it,
That's funny. Are there any misconceptions about ADHD that you find that you're like, wait, no, 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 no. Let me correct that.
um, I I was told by my psychologist that she had never seen anything like this, with me because I'm very
Yeah.
focused. But that's
Mm,
how I was raised.
right, right.
So, it just
Mm-hmm.
depends on a person's environment. Like,
Yeah.
and by any means, I know some people are on medication. I'm not on medication. I'm not gonna
Mm-hmm.
knock somebody that is,
Mm-hmm.
but like that's how I was raised. I
Right.
was raised to be very focused. I was
Mm-hmm.
raised like to honestly
Yeah.
behave. So, when I tell people, yeah, I masked for 34 years, I told them on Newsweek, I was like,
Yeah.
I masked for 34 years. And they're like, they didn't see your ADHD. Oh, no, honey. Cause when I'm in class, I'm not gonna have my mom or my daddy, coming up to the school telling me
You're
what
like,
my
no.
child did. Like, they're not taking my side
Right,
if I'm
right.
misbehaving. So yeah.
That's funny. Do you find as an adult, with the late ADHD diagnosis, and now that some time has gone by, has it gotten easier to manage, or is it still kind of like a big difficulty for you throughout your day?
It's not hard to manage because
Yeah,
I guess for me, I don't hide it as much.
sure, sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm grown now.
Yeah.
Like it's like you take this energy or not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not
Right,
gonna
right,
be obnoxious about it, but I'm not gonna hide my energy, like my
right.
bubbliness.
Right, right. What is the reaction from the community been? So, like, because since you are such a outspoken person about ADHD, and like we were talking about earlier, there is a stigma, especially in the Black community, when it comes to mental health. From your experience, what has the, I guess, reaction been to your mental health journey that you share with everybody?
I think some people don't like that I embrace it,
Mm,
you know,
mm,
but people embrace other things. So why can't I
mm-hmm,
embrace, what I was born
mm-hmm.
with?
Right,
I just
right,
That's just how I think. I'm,
right.
I'm simple. So I'm like,
Yeah,
make it make sense. If
right,
I'm not hurting anyone, I'm not doing anybody harm. Like, what's the big deal? And if I'm
right.
spreading joy, because like for real, I don't know about you, but a lot of times when I go out, people looking like they're going through. So that one,
Yes.
that smile, like like,
Yeah. I'm a big proponent. I think moods are contagious. You know, so like if I'm ever walking down the street and you just exude that energy towards me, I will happily just accept it. Even if I don't know who you are. I'm just like, oh, I'll take that energy. Thank you. Let's go play with Legos at Barnes and Noble.
and their parents just go with it.
They're like, okay, yeah, sure. All right, whatever. That's funny. So like I guess to if you don't mind, just giving some words of wisdom to the people out there um, who have a late diagnosis, late ADHD diagnosis, or might be on the cusp of getting one, or they're older and they think they might have it, so they might be taking the first step towards you know potentially getting clinically diagnosed. What words of wisdom would you have for the adults out there that are finally taking their ADHD journey?
Be willing to be open to growing with what you learn, whatever that looks like. Because for me, like I said, I originally went in, for autism, and I didn't know that I had ADHD too. So you have to be willing to be open to what you might have. And it's okay. And it's okay. I will say that also, that you are enough. So whatever you have, it's okay. Like, you're you. That's how you were wired. And the more you learn about yourself, that's why I said about being open. Like, get to know, your traits, get to know, what this is that you have, and to better understand it. Because when you understand yourself, you're not going to let people misuse you. You're not going to let people mistreat you.
Yes.
And that's what I struggle with, growing up, is having that low self-esteem, because I didn't understand who I really was. But once I understood myself, then I can advocate. I can't advocate for myself if I don't know what I have, or, who I am. So by knowing who I am, like, hold up, that I know what you're doing with my mind because I know what I have. I know these emotions that I'm feeling because I know what I have. You're not going to do that, so then you can really show yourself. We're big now about self-care and self-love. Well, you're not loving yourself just by taking, the negativity that other people are telling you. Right. You got to know for you.
Yes. Yes. Like, preach. Come on now. Come on now. I thought it was Sunday for a second. I was like, what day of the week? What day of the week is this?
I'll tell y'all, that's the vibe. That ain't me.
I was like, what is this coming over my body right now? What is this? What's going on? Honestly, Traci, I appreciate you and your insight. There might be people that are listening right now that, might want to like reach out and either tell you their story, or, maybe just ask you a question, whatever it may be. If people want to reach out to you, where can they reach you?
The easiest is my website, which is Traci with an I, Neal, Neal, speakerpoet.com. I tell people that's my one-stop shop.
Yeah.
And humor you guys. I'm not on any social media, but I'm in the media.
Listen,
media
you're not missing out on anything. Trust me, I wish that, like, sometimes I wish that I wasn't on social media sometimes, but like I always look at it from the positive standpoint, because with all the darkness that's out there, what the great part about social media is that, I get to meet a variety of people, and I get to use my platform to spread like messages like what you have to people that are probably watching or listening to this, being like, yes, that's me. Or she gets it, like that makes it all worth it. You know what I'm saying? And like, that's a beautiful thing. And I really appreciate you. I'm going to include Traci's website in the description of this podcast episode. So all you have to do is click and reach out. That'll all be there. Traci, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. It was so much fun.
Oh, absolutely, my friend. If you enjoyed this podcast, please make sure that you go leave a review. Let us know what you think of this episode. Let us know what you think of my friend Traci. Let us know what you think of me and my beanie that I'm wearing today. Whatever you want, leave a review, because that is how we get better. Thank you, Traci. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Awesome.
And that's a wrap on this week's episode of the Vibe with Kai podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you found a little bit of comfort in today's episode, and I hope that you're walking away with a little bit of encouragement, and I hope that you laughed a little bit along the way. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like and subscribe and leave a review. Let me know what you thought of the episode. I really want to hear your voice. I want to hear your story. I want to hear all about your journey. Let's keep the conversation going. Make sure you follow me on all of your favorite social media platforms. Follow me on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it may be, at The Vibe with Kai for more tips, more laughs, and more real talk. Remember, my friends, you are not alone on this journey. We are in this together. And until next time, stay kind to yourself, embrace the journey, and keep vibing. I'll catch you next time. Much love. Good vibes.